Hello, everybody. I am with Sabrina, an amazing rockstar mompreneur who is also a coach.
Yes, happy to be here. Hi, Pedro.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. It looks like we like to talk. It's the third time we talk in less than
Yes,
2 weeks.
yeah, absolutely. A lot of deep thinking and conversations, and I love that. It's energizing, I think, when people meet and have a lot of alignment, but also fresh ideas to bounce around.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I feel the same. So thank you very much for accepting this invitation to do it again. And
Hmm.
now I'm gonna be doing the questions. Last time you were doing the questions, so thank you for that one as well.
Hmm.
The reason why we're here is because Sabrina, you are mom. You are doing ways differently from most of the people that are teaching stuff who are coaches and who are moms as well. Because I have an audience of moms, I think that, and I believe you are a great example of what I want to take my moms in the way on how they can do, how they can actually design a lifestyle that they can happily live being
Hmm.
mompreneurs.
Yes.
So um, you have lots of hacks uh, that perhaps you feel free to share. And first of all, why don't you tell us what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so right now, since the beginning of this year, I'm full-time coaching. So it's a new thing for me to have started my own business and be an entrepreneur. And I will be perfectly honest, in the beginning, I didn't think I was an entrepreneur. I had all these limiting beliefs in my head about what I'm good at, what I can do well, and everything that I think people have in their head when they think about starting their own business in the beginning, especially if you have family that you feel you also have to sustain. There's a lot that goes into the whole thinking process and a lot of worries, of course. Will we be able to pull it off? So I had all that when I started the business, but I did it anyway because it has been a dream of mine for a long time to be a life coach and to support people in really unshackling their authentic self, I would say, so that they can win in all areas of life. Because many people feel that they have to sacrifice one part of their life for the benefit of another part being successful. Let's say we sacrifice time with our family for our business success. That's the thinking that many people have. And when I started my business, I wanted to do that differently for myself, but also show other people how to do it, how to really unshackle that part of themselves that's sort of fixed in this box thinking that we are taught. Um, yeah, and I mean, before I was a sales manager for many years, so I brought a lot of sales experience, a lot of management experience with me, and I was an actress as well, which again came in handy when I now create videos and do podcasts for my audience. So I would say there's a whole bunch of experiences in my life that I decided to draw from when I started my own business.
Yeah, well, that's great because I believe lots of a lot of us were raised based on the paradigm of sacrifice, you
Hmm.
know, with the sacrificing paradigm. And I always love the mom's example because once you decide to do this full time, you were attacked or flooded by these beliefs that you have. If you want that lifestyle of your dreams, whatever that is, it's okay.
Yeah.
You have to sacrifice the best in life. That's
Yeah.
bullshit.
It actually is. And, it comes from this whole idea of scarcity that I would say generally the human system these days is created on. And it stretches back in history. This idea that we lack one thing, so we have to work very hard to get it. And it creates a lot of fears in us the fear, for example, to be not financially sustainable, or the fear that we will not be good parents if we spend a lot of time on our business, or the fear that people will laugh at us if we try something out. So there are a lot of fears in us. This is how we are socialized from very early childhood. And the shift that needs to happen really is to move that to a mindset of abundance, where we start seeing opportunities and possibilities, even in challenges. Not thinking a challenge is a limitation in the mindset of scarcity,
Yeah.
but thinking a challenge is an opportunity for me to try out new things, or to break a barrier in my head that has been holding me back, or to learn something new that will then at a later time in my life come in handy and actually help me to do something I want to do.
Yeah.
So a lot starts with how we think about things.
How about that? I mean, how long have you been believing like that? Or was it just a one mindset shift once you decided to do this full time, or were you struggling before?
Well, I would say I was lucky in a sense that I grew up very unconventionally. I grew up in communes with people who were trying to live different lives. They were like, um, trying to break down the capitalist system, or they were very into climate change. These were people who were like into movements. So from a very early childhood, I was lucky enough to have that idea that unconventional things can be very good for us and they can shift stuff around, and that's positive. But still, even these people were locked up without realizing in a mindset of scarcity, and they were often doing things still fear-based and not abundance and opportunity-based. So over the years, I think because I was always very interested in choosing my own path, I slowly realized on doing inner work, practicing mindfulness, that there is that mindset in me, and then there are those emotions in me that are linked to my thinking, and they influence my life decisions without me even realizing. And about 6 years ago, the company I used to work for sent me on a professional coaching training. Thank God that happened, because that was really an eye-opener for me. I was like,
Oh,
wow, this is the skill I've been looking for. And since then, I had this dream that I wanted to be a life coach, because it was so profound and so impactful what I could shift with the coaching approach, that I was absolutely blown away for myself and even for other people. So that's when 6 years ago, I would say then, it was when I really started to go deeper and fully understand, okay, our childhood, how we have been conditioned, what is the impact on our everyday now in the present decisions, and how can we shift that? And you were asking, does it take one moment to shift a mindset? It takes one moment to realize something, but the real work starts after that. It's a process. And to rewrite like thinking patterns or behavioral patterns, we have to really work on ourselves continuously. Today we break this barrier, then the next day we do it again, the next day we do it again, and then one day we realize, oh, it's easy now. I've shifted my mindset, or I've shifted how I behave in certain situations. So it is possible, but we have to be willing to put in some work.
yeah, of course. Wow, that's great. Sometimes uh I also come from, I mean, when I got fired from a job, made a decision to do this, you know. So I love how we sometimes get dragged or get attracted to some things in our lives that at that moment felt in alignment with us, and
Mhm.
once we were inside, they didn't feel actually in alignment with the person that we were becoming, or the reality that we thought was in such environments, and the reality that is actually in such environments. So I believe when they taught you how to become a coach, I believe that was like, wow, what am I doing here? And
Yes.
yeah.
I
So
started questioning my management role, I must honestly say. I did it for a couple of years longer and really tried to combine the two. You know, my old me, let me say, as a sales manager, and my new me as a
mm,
coach. But it was becoming increasingly difficult until there came a point where I was like, no, I don't want to be a sales manager anymore.
yeah, and that's great. I
Mm-hmm.
believe so many people, um, or I don't know if everybody, but a lot of us come to a point in our lives where we we in front of us we have the opportunity to change our identity, to shift our identity. And you said I don't want to be a sales manager anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes we know that, but we don't do it. We get
Mm-hmm.
stuck with the fear and believing that there's no better option in anything. Call it your partner, call it your lifestyle, call it your career, call it your profession, call it your whatever that your mindset, whatever that is.
Absolutely. And you see, that's one important point you make here. And I think that's such an important thing to realize, because I often realize how, as humans, we compartmentalize the different parts of our life. And, you know, as a life coach, I'm trained to see the connectivity between them all. Because if you are unhappy in your job, you might say, I'm strong enough to, you know, go to the office, survive in that job, and then come home and have a good time with my family. You are actually lying to yourself. It might work for a while, but what this is doing is draining your energy in the long run. And that lack of energy and the depression or the burnout or whatever other symptoms you might develop will also manifest in other parts of your life. Speaking, if you don't make the change you need to make to be happy in your work life, every other part of your life will also be affected
Yeah.
sooner or later. And that's one thing we need to realize. And that's why I focus on this whole idea of winning in all areas, because it's actually, it is possible, but we have to be willing to take the steps to do that.
Yeah. And I like your story, and I didn't know your story, so thank you for sharing. Well, this is a part of your story, and I like it
Yes.
because of this, because of the hmm, let me call it domino effect. I mean, and not what people may think right now. You come from a family that is unconventional, or a environment that is unconventional. You saw the possibilities since you were perhaps younger, and then it was perhaps what helped you to make this shift and embrace coaching and perhaps make a decision. Now, I come from a family that is not unconventional, right? Actually, it's very conventional.
Mm-hmm.
This is the domino effect or the tandem effect, if you want, because if you come from a family that is conventional or unconventional, it doesn't matter. You can make a choice, and
Yes,
and that's
always.
yeah. So that sometimes when people ask me what happened, how do you make that shift and all that, I
Mm-hmm.
have an answer for that. And sometimes it may sound like, oh, really? That simple? No, no, I'm not saying it's simple, but I'm not saying it's easy, but the answer is simple.
Yes.
So, but before I give my answer, I wish to know about you. Like, okay, you get this training, you practice for 2 years. You saw that the field that you were applying these tactics or techniques perhaps didn't give you the most excitement or the
Mm-hmm.
highest excitement. And I don't know if you already were a mom or you were about to become a mom. I don't know about that. So what happened? How did you make that shift and say, fuck it, I'm gonna be a full-time life coach?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I practiced that for 6 years actually, right? Trying to
Oh.
combine the sales management and the coaching,
Mm.
or a bit less, maybe 5. And then it became increasingly difficult, and there was an increasing misalignment. I think what kept me going was that I absolutely loved the people part in the
Yeah.
management role. I had a very international team to manage, and I
Yeah.
loved all the people I interacted with because I love diversity and people. That
Yeah.
gave me energy, but I could feel how that management role was draining me. I could feel it, but I was trying to ignore it until at one point I got the opportunity to say, like, hey, actually, I want to move out of sales management. Can I not be a coach and coach the sales team? And we, with my manager at that time, we went through the whole process of creating a role for me, and I became a coach in that company. And
You became a what?
but I became a coach in that company. But you see, what actually I didn't do was taking the step to move out of the company and really be like a life coach. I was still not ready for that step. So I was told, well, you can leave sales management, but be aware, if anything happens, you will be the first to go. Because, a coaching position is not something that many companies
Yeah,
will spend money on when it
yeah,
gets tough.
yeah.
But sales managers are always needed. So I was warned. Well, and guess what happened a few months later? The pandemic hits the world, and travel, I was working in a travel company, was like absolutely flattened.
Mm.
So I lost my job. And that's when I was like, okay, Sabrina, I mean, you didn't take that step, but the universe told you, you have been wanting this, now start your business. And that's when I was actually now saying, okay. And I was a mom already at that point.
Grandma.
I have 2 kids. So I told myself, okay, now or never, I'm not going back to this drained state of mind, this being fixed in a system that is not really me, that I'm not excited about anymore. And that's how I started my business.
So it goes in alignment with my answer, which sounds simple, but it doesn't have to be easy. It's a fucking choice. So, I
Yeah.
mean, people want the secret, people want the formula, people want the. I mean, you don't need to listen to 100 podcasts. You don't need to take perhaps a coaching program. I'm not a certified coach and I don't claim to be a coach. You don't have, I mean, you don't have to be a best-selling author. You don't have to, I mean, you know what I mean? You just have
Yeah.
to make a choice. That's it. Just make it.
And
Just
that's the
make,
biggest superpower we have.
yeah.
And that, as moms, because we are so often so caught up in all the nitty-gritties of everyday routine, we sometimes forget that also we have that superpower, that we can make choices. And actually, the happier we are as mothers, the happier our kids are. And so when I started my business, I made a very conscious choice that I will build my business around me being a mother. That I will not go with a traditional 9 to 5 mindset, but that I will go with my productive times and the times that I have when my kids are in school. One is in school, one is in kindergarten. So when they are busy with their life, I'm busy with my business. And I worked my whole business structure around that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's working wonderfully because and that's one thing I want to also tell any mom who's listening. It's not about the quantity of time you spend with your kids,
Mm,
it's the quality.
yeah.
When you're present, that's when your kids will be happy. And the more you do your thing and you make yourself happy, the more energy you have actually to give to them, and the more love you have to give to them.
I totally agree. And take it from a mom like you and take it from a son who perhaps couldn't tell you how it feels. But I can tell you right now, I mean, if my dad, I mean, he was a workaholic, working from Monday to Sunday, typical Mexican entrepreneur. Um, when he came home, I was doing homework from school at home. I mean, he came with the worst attitude I ever find in someone. I mean, just because
Mm.
I haven't met someone like him. Um, and I went to his door and he was watching the TV laid out. And I understand he was tired, but all I
Yeah.
wanted was a friend because for 16 years I didn't have a dad. So I
Mm.
wanted to have a friend. I wanted to have I wanted to know what that fucking means. I don't even know. I don't even knew what that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I asked him about, or I wanted to tell him this is what I did at school. This is what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
This and that. And his reply was always, "Can you close the door from outside?" That was it. So if you
Mm.
ask me, would you trade 15 minutes, 5 minutes of pure presence against him not being present because he's working, and but he gives you 5 minutes of presence every single day? He was also, he maybe also be teaching me how to be present for someone else. I perhaps would have accepted that lifestyle, you know, instead of the lifestyle that I had. Um, my mom, again, I mean, my mom wasn't like that. My mom was is a very loving person, all that. But she believed that she had to sacrifice her life to make
Yeah.
me happy, so that she can be a great mom, so that she can be a great
Yes,
daughter, great sister.
absolutely.
And that's why she was loving, she tried to be present, but she was absent. So um and of course, this lifestyle that you're proposing, this the decision of being, I'm gonna align the business to my kids, to being a mom. It's a choice that I don't know if everybody can make. I mean, according to their lifestyle or their choices, but they can make a choice, whatever that is. Doesn't have to be your choice.
Yes, exactly. And presence, of course, I know because for many, many years I was in full-time employment while I had my kids already. I know how exhausting it is when after a full day of work, and being a sales manager is a very demanding job,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
like a kindergarten.
numbers. Yeah, the numbers every day, you have to reach goals, you have to cater to your team members. It is intense. So I know what it means to be a full-time working mom with kids, come home and then feel like I don't even have a minute for myself. Now I'm just going to be there for my kids. So, but there's still, as you say, the choice that we can make, that we give those 5 minutes to our children or 10 minutes and just listen to their stories and be there. And then, you know, later we decide, okay, how can we take a few moments for ourselves? Because if we can't recharge,
Yeah,
we are not going to have that energy.
no,
And I'm not saying it's, again, we say it's simple, but not necessarily easy. And the first step is to really become aware of the choices we have and the fact that we are in control. We are the leaders in our life. And although some things might feel they cannot be changed, that is the scarcity mindset. You're not seeing opportunities yet. So
yeah,
check in again with yourself. And I mean, for me, I've always practiced some kind of mindfulness where I sort of, try to tune in with what I feel and what I think. And from there, a lot of stuff comes. And you can do that even 10 minutes in the evening, make it a practice. It's hard in the beginning, but it's very rewarding when you do it regularly. And you might get exactly those thoughts that show you opportunities other than limitations.
totally. Yeah. Um, that's why the inner work, to me, is one of the most important parts of my life as a person now. And
Mm,
I used to use it for my entrepreneurship life, but really right now is just for my life. And of course, the entrepreneur uh, side of me gets the advantage, because that's my
mm,
passion. Um, but totally, I mean, and I wouldn't share my routines because I'm not married. I don't have kids, so they might not be in resonance with the moms, like, oh yeah, whatever, dude, you. But imagine how it is to live for it was like 10, 12 years of living under this environment of not of being a child that wasn't able to, or a teen that wasn't able to be himself, be
Mm,
conditioned for so many years, and of course my childhood as well. So it was like, yeah, 16 years of conditioning
mm,
plus 10, so 26 of conditioning. And and now all of this that I'm doing is because I'm just trying to be who I came here to be, who I really am. So you are on time. If you don't want your kid to have to search for self growth, I mean, not that self growth, because sometimes we look for self growth because we need self growth to
mm.
feel better. I see some kids and I'm like, wow, man, this dude is really happy, and I don't see any anxiety. I don't see, and to me, like, great job for the parents, and but when you cannot be present, it's really really difficult to see that what you want in your children. So, um,
Yes.
can
And
yeah,
one thing that I find very important that many mothers shy away from, and even I used to shy away from, is really this thing of asking for help and building a system around us that supports us. We do feel that we have to be strong all the time. We do feel that we have to have everything under control, have the solution for everyone and everything. It's like this sense of motherhood that is also often portrayed, from the outside world, and then it's paired with this motherly instinct that we want to protect and provide, and it can get very toxic and very overwhelming.
yeah,
So the more you as a working mother or an entrepreneur mom accept, like, hey, if I have a community, if I have my support system where I have a babysitter or I have relatives or friends who are happy to take care of my kids, take it. Don't hold back, just take it. It can be so wonderful for your kids because they have a community. It can be so wonderful for you because you get more time and space to breathe, but also maybe to work a little more on your business if you have to and want to. So there's so much advantage is in surrounding yourself with people who are like your tribe and who are willing to cheer you on and to support yourself. So check your environment and ask yourself, am I in an environment right now where I have this community? And if not, how do I start creating it?
yeah.
There are several. I mean, I don't want to ramble on too much, but that's a first check you can do. Like, am I in a good community? Do I have people around me who cheer me on and who are willing to support me as a person, an entrepreneur, but also a mother? That's very, very important.
Yeah. I believe you're talking about the super mom imposter syndrome, like the mom who wants, I mean, the woman who wants to do it all, having believing that she has to prove herself as a good enough woman, good enough mom, that she has to take care of everything. That's
Exactly.
only that's that's only gonna impact your health. Um, so if you don't rely on a system, a support system, call it friends, family, or relatives, whatever, um, well, sooner or later,
Yeah, the effects will show. And again, you won't be able to be present with your kids or the people you love in general. You won't be able to enjoy your life. And you will just be in zombie mode every day and just drag on. And that's not what life is about. Life is about this experience right now, not sometime in the future. No, even building our business should be fun.
yeah.
It should be a winning game, where we say, like, oh, wow, today I've created this and that for my business and it's awesome. So,
Now,
yeah.
for example, I remember when I used to share this advice, I was I was faced with the objection, like, I don't have the money to hire someone, I don't trust anybody else, I don't have a family, it's us, it's just us, we live in, I know this advice won't apply to everyone, but allow me to say, while you think of a possibility, I believe the first support system that everybody, not only moms, can have is to give yourself time for yourself. That's the best support system that I found before I built my tribe. because once I started to give time to myself, say at 5 minutes a day, to don't have to meditate. You don't want to, don't have to. You can walk for a walk, do whatever the fuck you want. I'm literally listen to the music you love. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I love shooting hoops. I love going to nature. I like ice cream, whatever that is. Having a chat with someone, that it's uplifting. When you build the habit of giving yourself at least 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever that is, minutes, hours, days for yourself, the ripple effect is almost immediately because everybody will see that you respect a time with yourself. Therefore, you will honor everybody else's time and they will be happy to be around you because you're someone that they know
Yeah,
will honor their time and energy. And
absolutely.
sooner or later, you build a community and
People
they
will
offer
come
the
to you.
support. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And that's one thing. Again, maybe it was because of the way I was brought up. Maybe it was just, other things I cannot really explain. It's this choice I made when I started my job in the company where I then became a sales manager. I already had my daughter was 7 months old, and I started a full time job because that was the only possible way to sustain. So I was very clear that this is my time that I work. This is stuff I do for myself, and this is time I spend with my daughter. And I didn't compromise on that. I made that choice that I will not work over a certain amount of time, but when I am at my job, I'm absolutely present. I prioritize my time. I work as hard as I can to prove myself within that time. But then I go home, I do stuff for myself, and I spend time with my daughter.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, as you say, it had a ripple effect on me then building my tribe around me, being successful at work because I was really present there, but also having fun when I was in my private sphere because I was present there as well. And I was giving time to myself. I would go out, I would, do my mindfulness, my sports once in a while. So I had good energy for my daughter as well.
Yeah. And I like that you said that being present. And I believe being present is in every moment because I see some of the online entrepreneurs I know, moms, they're not present. Not even in their business,
Mm.
they're not present.
Yeah.
They are using social media like myself, and they get consumed by social media. Oh, I get distracted. I get so you're not in social media because that's the best entertainment you can get. You're in social media because you're building a community. You're inspiring a movement. That's what you're doing. I mean,
Mm.
I am not on social media because I like it. I happen to like it because now I know how to use social media to create meaningful connections like
Mm.
this is happening with you. But the rest of my days, I'm not in social media and I'm not a parent. So if you're using social media to escape from your reality, uh, I'm here to tell you, you're missing out of
Yeah,
you. I mean, you're the
absolutely.
best rock star you can meet. So
Yeah.
why don't you give yourself the chance to do stuff for yourself that you fucking like instead of being on social media, being a product of social media. No, be the reason why social media wants you there because you're creating a community that they want you to create because otherwise, you know, they wouldn't like you there. So uh, I'm glad that you said it because it's not that you have to be present for your job. I mean, your business as well. Now that you
Yeah.
chose to have a business and
It's
take
the same
advantage of,
principle.
yeah,
Yeah, it's the same principle. And it's interesting what you're saying about social media. I will tell you the not so secret that before I started my business, I was not on social media.
you see,
I was simply not because I had other priorities. And I used to feel whenever I go on social media, it drains me rather than feeding me with energy. And even now, I do it for business and I love what I can create there in terms of my business. Absolutely. but I do not use it to validate myself
Yeah,
or to get some, maybe a positive um, response from someone on social
yeah,
media, and then I can feel better about myself. That should happen in the real world, let me put it that way, where I am present.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
totally agree. Um, one thing I want to say is that even if when people are reaching to this part of the interview, they say, "Oh no, but how can that happen if I have to pay the rent? I have to go for that check. I have to." Well, something I learned last year, which was something that actually blew my mind. I was actually triggered by that when I started working with a manifestation or manifesting mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Was that at that moment I wanted a thing in my life,
Yes.
a material thing. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, "You know what, Pedro? Manifesting things is all news." Oh, motherfucker, man! I hired you because I want this fucking thing. Yeah, dude, but that's all news. Oh man, I didn't like that he said, that
Mm.
truth. But now it's my lifestyle. I don't prove myself by the things I own. Otherwise, the things I own will own me. I validate myself by how I feel, how I choose to feel, and that's my drive every single day. The money manifests, the relationships. This year, I have manifested way better relationships than ever in my life in the past.
Mm.
And I had to do the shift. Do you want the money? Do you want the relationships? Do you want the clients? Do you want the conversations? Choose. I'm not saying that it's either or the other. You can have both, but you just have to open to
Exactly.
the possibility.
Yeah. When we don't believe that it's possible, it will not necessarily come to us, or it will come to us in a very, very painful and tedious way.
Yeah.
But once and that's the mindset of abundance that you're talking about, that I mentioned earlier. Once you shift from scarcity, like, oh, I need money to sustain myself, or I need clients to get, my business running and pay my bills. That's the mindset of scarcity, because you're talking about a need you have, and stuff that you make you feel like, oh, if I don't have that, then my life is over, basically. But when we come from that mindset of abundance, we say, like, okay, I love having conversations, I'm going to have conversations, and the clients will manifest through those fun conversations that you have, and the money will manifest through that. It's just a different perspective on the whole thing, and it frees you up for so many more possibilities that you might otherwise not see. So yeah, I like that you mentioned that, because it's a big shift. If you manage that, it turns around a lot of tables.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And if you choose that the channels that you created to manifest money were an offer, not all your offers will be the channels. I'm sorry to give that, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
tell you
absolutely.
based on experience. Last year,
Mm-hmm.
lots of offers that I launched didn't sell because I
Mm-hmm.
was out of alignment. I wasn't I didn't create them as a safe space for my clients where they can feel joy, fun, release, freedom when they use it. Therefore, they didn't give me any money. They weren't profitable. But
Yeah.
now I create offers that I when I'm in this state, which now is the goal is to be in this state every day, the state of joy,
Mm-hmm.
fun, being grateful, present. When I create something out of that state, it converts. It becomes my best next selling offer, whatever that is. And it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be compared with anybody else, just my personal progress. So
Mm.
it's the importance of all the things that we were talking about, how they all work together. And
Absolutely.
and since I have to say something about you, that since I met you, the energy is really peaceful with you. Like it's. I mean, like I said, we have had 3 conversations in less than 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I believe we can have more conversations, just because.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So but this is I'm gonna say as an example, this is part of my support system. I know I can reach out to you, say, hey, can we talk? Or
Yeah.
guess what? This is what happened. Oh my God, I'm happy for you.
Mhm.
Or hey, I want to do this. Whatever that is, we support each other. This is part of the support system, and
Of
you
the
may,
tribe you create. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's beautiful. It's so much fun. I just love that. It makes me very happy. And that's where we get also positive energy from, these meaningful conversations and conversations where we can really be ourself and don't have to put up some pretenses, because that changes the energy, and then things don't happen in alignment. And as you say, then we create offers that don't really work for us in our business.
yeah,
They don't represent what we actually can give
yeah,
to our clients.
yeah. So, how would you like to finish this conversation? What would you like to say to the moms out there?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I will say what a friend of mine loves to say. Um, let's make it easy, simple, fun, and see what happens. It doesn't have to be this heavy thing, creating a business and combining it with your other areas of life. Just see how you can make it easy, simple, fun every day. And with time, you will realize how positively it changes your presence now. And life is happening now. So, just work on that. Once you start feeling better in the present, you know that things are on the right track. So don't give up.
Totally. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. Learn to be in the present is definitely it for everything in life.
Yeah.
All right, Sabrina. So see you in another call, perhaps.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you for inviting me for this interview, and speak soon.
Yep.